I thought today we would work on some neck stuff because I slept funny. So when you have your space all set up and ready to go, let's begin. Turn your palms forward and take a great big shoulder shrug. Inhale up, back and down. Keep your palms forward as you repeat. Great big shoulder shrug, great big yawn. Inhaling up, back and down. One more time. Keep your palms forward and repeat. Great big shoulder shrug, great big yawn. Inhale up, back and down. Now, as some of you know, years ago, I went to acupuncture school. And there are some acupuncture points that you would use if somebody came to you complaining of a stiff neck first thing in the morning, something that just happened overnight. And they are in between the webbing of your fingers. So I'm going to get close to the camera here. So between the tan part and the pale part, that transition between the tan and the pale is where you would gently insert acupuncture needles in between the webbing. Well, I'm not going to do needles this morning, but I do have fingernails. Maybe you do too. So easily accessible version is to take your fingernails and jam them into that webbing between your fingertips. Push hard. Now, one of these joints is for turning your head one way. The other joint is for turning your head the other way. The other joint is for rotating. I can never remember them, so I just do all of them. Jam those fingernails into that webbing between your fingers. And let's continue. Shoulder shrug up, back and down. And repeat. Great big shoulder shrug up, back and down. Let's do a couple more of those. Great big shoulder shrugs, maybe even yawn. Jam those fingers in there and roll those shoulders around. And let those shoulders stay down away from your ears and turn your head side to side. Knees are unlocked, toes are spread. Breathing. And come to center and nod your head yes. Chin up, chin down. All the while your shoulders are down away from your ears. You have a nice long neck. And you are jamming those fingernails into that webbing. And then come to neutral and release. Oh. Getting to have lots of blood flow into those fingers. Good. Give them a good shake here. And then interlace your fingers. Press your palms out. Bring your arms up and overhead. And again, inhale, stretch long and tall. Separate your feet, separate your ribs from your hips. Shift your weight side to side. Work up a good yawn or two. As you shift your weight side to side, jog your hips side to side. Maybe flip the toes of one foot backward and then the other. I'm going to step back so you can see my hands. I still have my palms turned up. Fingers are interlaced. I'm pressing my thumbs up towards the ceiling, pulling those pinky fingers back a little bit more. Shifting side to side. Baby. Yawn. And then come to neutral. So you've been here a little while. Some of the blood has drained out of your arms. Bend your elbows, bring your hands behind your head. Keep those shoulders drawing down away from your ears, pull in your front ribs, pull in your belly. Take a deep chesty breath. And as you exhale, let those shoulders melt a little bit further down away from your ears. 2 more breaths here. Big inhale. And exhale. 1 more time. Good shoulders. Big yawn. Shoulders down away from your ears. And then let those arms go. Let them swing. Feel the blood flow back into those arms. Start swinging that right arm on top. Cross that right arm on top and give yourself a great big hug. Shoulders are down away from your ears, fingers are down below your armpits, and tick-tock your head side to side. If you're like me, you might still feel those fingernail spots between the webs of your fingers tingling. So as you tick-tock your head side to side, maybe wiggle your jaw, work up a good yawn or two. Bring your head to neutral. Flip that bottom arm up, wrap the top arm around it, and breathe. I'm turning sideways, you don't have to. Let those shoulders shrug down away from your ears as you press your elbows forward. Pull your belly, your waistline back. Kind of rub that space between your shoulder blades against an imaginary tree behind you. If that feels good and you want even more intensity, you can bow forward. I like to kickstand, one leg in front, one leg in back, and let those elbows hang, pull away from my chest a little bit more. And breathe, really breathing into that space between your shoulder blades. And then release your arms. Take a great big inhale, come all the way up. And release, let that left arm go on top. Swing that left arm on top. Crossing that left arm on top, give yourself a great big hug. Let those shoulders melt away from your ears. Nod your head yes this time. And as you nod yes, your fingers are down below your armpits. You're wrapping up nice and tight. And letting each breath be like a yawn. And then put your head on straight. Flip that bottom arm up, wrap the top arm around it. Second verse, same as the first. Again, elbows pressing forward. You might kickstand your legs. As you press those elbows forward, pull your belly, your waistline back, shoulders down away from your ears. You can stay upright for this, or you can get that gravity assist by hinging forward. Breathing into that space between your shoulder blades. Knees are soft, release your arms, big inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, release your arms. Palms are forward for that shoulder shrug, inhaling up. Exhale back and down. We're gonna turn my back to you, so we're all going the same way. Take that right arm behind your back, pull it across. Palm is facing outward. You're gonna hold it in place, palm to palm. Shoulders are down away from your ears and your head falls over towards your hands, but your shoulders keep dropping down. So far, so good. Nod your head yes as it hangs off to one side. Don't forget to wiggle your jaw, work up a good yawn. Let your head hang heavy. Let your shoulders melt down away from your ears as you nod your head yes. All the while, your knees are unlocked, your belly is pulled in. Feet are a comfortable distance apart. Chin comes to the middle of your chest. Interlace your fingers, squeeze your shoulder blades together, and put your head on straight. Stay there. You take your feet as wide apart as your mat, put a bend in your knees, and hinge over. Letting elbows pull away from your back any amount at all. Turn your head side to side like you're unscrewing a light bulb. Twist your head. And then hands come to your hips, hands come onto your lap. So you got to bend your knees to make a lap and come all the way on up to standing. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Taking that left hand behind your back, pull it across, hold it in place, palm to palm, shoulders are down away from your ears, and your head falls over towards your hands to the right. Knees unlocked, belly pulled in, feet a comfortable distance apart so that you can nod your head as it hangs to the side. So that space between your feet gives you a more stable base. So you can nod your head and not get dizzy, not lose your balance. And then eventually chin comes to chest, interlace your fingers, squeeze your shoulder blades together, pulling those elbows away from your back. Of course, you can stay upright or separate your feet, put a bend in your knees, and bow forward a second time. Hands to your hips, hands on your lap, so bend your knees and round all the way up. Your feet are as wide apart as your mat, hands on your lap. Keep your knees bent, hands on your lap as you lift your head up, tail up, sway back, cow. And as you exhale, pull in your tummy, tuck your tail, tuck your chin, arch your back for cat. And work it out. Inhaling for cow, exhaling for cat. Again, we're loosening up the neck here, so if it works for you, get your head involved. Head up, and then tuck your chin. And then come to neutral. Have a look forward, still with your hands on your lap, still with knees bent. Locate your right hand, and with an inhale, sweep your arm up and open. Follow it with your gaze, so look at it. And exhale, release. Switching sides. Left hand on your lap, inhale, sweep that. This is your right, left arm up and open. And release. And switch, right arm up and away. And release. Left arm up and away. And release. Once more on each side. And once again, coming to neutral. Hands on your lap as you crawl all the way back up to standing. Great big inhale, take both arms up and overhead. And release that right hand down. Reach up, stretch out through that left side, and come over into a side stretch. Knees are unlocked, feet are comfortable distance apart. Top palm is flat to the ground. Reaching on over. Turn your heart open towards the ceiling a little bit more. And inhale, come on up. Let's switch sides. Inhale, both arms up and overhead. Left hand to your hip. Come over into a side stretch. Turning your heart towards the sky. And inhale, come on up. Oh, that felt so good. We're going to repeat. This time, taking that left leg behind, reaching that left arm up, coming over into that side stretch, squeezing your thighs together. Keep a slight bend in your knees. Spread your toes. Then reach diagonal towards the front corner of your room. Reaching out diagonal, right hand corner of the room. And then release. Let's do the other side. Crossing that right leg behind, shooting that right arm into the air, coming over into a side stretch. Squeeze your thighs together, keep your knees bent. Spread out your toes. And then reach diagonal left-hand corner of the room. Your back is rounded. You're pulling in your tummy, tucking your tail. And release. All right, once more, same thing. I'm mirroring you now. So now that left leg comes behind, that left arm comes up, over, side stretch, squeezing your thighs together, keeping your knees unlocked, keeping your toes spread. Reaching diagonal, pulling in your front ribs, pulling in your belly. And rounding over. And switch. Right leg behind, right arm up, coming on over. Bend your knees, squeeze your thighs together, spread out your toes. Reach diagonal. And round over. Knees unlocked, great big inhale, come all the way up to standing. Bend your elbows, palms are forward, make goalpost arms. Shoulders are down away from your ears. Turn your palms towards your head. Now your thumbs are pointing back behind you. Now tip your elbows forward, pull your thumbs back a little bit more. You're going for maximum rotation of those arm bones in the shoulder joint. So thumbs pull back, elbows tip forward. To have those goalpost arms. Shoulders are down away from your ears. Pull back hard on those thumbs. Pull in your front ribs, pull in your belly. Standing tall. Extend your arms straight out to the side, still with that same rotation in the arms. So now my palms are up, my thumbs are pulling back. I'm rotating my arms as much as I can, trying to get those pinky fingers up. Pull in your front ribs, pull in your belly. You want to rotate the arms, not your chest. And then reach on over, find the epaulets on the tops of your shoulders. Curl your fingers in tight. Try touching your knuckles to the tops of those epaulets. And then pull those epaulets off and flare your fingers. Pull your fingertips down towards the ground. So you're pressing your palms flat. Spreading those fingers. Keeping your arms up. Don't let them drop. Curl in again. Tight, 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 tight. And spread. And curl in tight, 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 tight. And spread. This is really good for the wrists, some of that carpal tunnel. Sometimes the stuff going on in your wrist originates up in the neck. So we're going to add a little bit of neck to this in just a moment. But first, we're just loosening up those wrists. One more time. Epaulets. Flare those fingers. And let it go. Let the blood flow back in. I'm going to repeat something very similar to that. We're going to add in a neck stretch. So big inhale, arms come all the way up. Bend your elbows. Same thing, turn your palms towards your head. Pull your thumbs back, elbows forward. Try to rotate those arm bones, not so much your chest bones. So keep those front ribs and belly pulled in. Your knees unlocked, tail tucked. Maximum rotation in those arms. Arms extend out. So your palms are up. Maybe your thumbs are diving down behind you. Going to press out through the palms of both hands. Fingertips pulling down towards the ground, pressing your palms flat against two imaginary walls. The walls are closing in on you. And then let your head tick-tock side to side. Don't forget to breathe. Keep flaring those fingers. Keep spreading out your palms. Pulling those fingertips down, 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 down. Maximum rotation in those arm bones. Tucking your head. Shoulders are still down away from your ears. And come to center. Oh, let that go. Third/4th times the charm. You're going to repeat just one arm. But we'll set up the same way. Arms come all the way up. Bend both elbows. Palms towards your head. Maximum rotation in the hands. Thumbs back. Elbows forward. Maximum rotation in the arms. Extending your arms. Palms out. Flare those fingers. And just leave that right arm extended. You can drop the left. Let your head fall over to the left. If that makes sense, you nod your head yes. Keep working that right hand. Palm flared, fingertips pointing down, maximum rotation in the arms. A comfortable distance between your feet. I do recommend keeping your eyes open so you don't get dizzy. As you let your head hang off to the left there, and you nod your head yes. And come to center. Now this free hand that's not doing anything, you can use it to push your head back up on as you release. Good news is you only got 2 arms. You only got 1 more side to do. Let's do it. Take both arms up and overhead. Bend your elbows, pulling those shoulders down away from your ears, turning your palms towards your head, tipping elbows forward, pulling thumbs back, maximum rotation in those arm bones, stretching those arms out, palms are flat. Just gonna work this left side. So palm is flat, maximum rotation, shoulder down, front ribs and belly pulled in, and your head falls away from the extended arm. So far, so good. Nod your head yes, that makes sense. And depending on where you're tight, you might feel that in the neck. You might feel tingles in your fingertips. You might feel that in your wrist. And come to neutral. Use your free hand, the right hand, to push your head back up on, because your head's heavy, and to release. All right, big inhale, both arms come up and overhead. And as you bend your knees, swan dive down into a forward fold. Wrap your fingers around your elbows. Let your feet go as wide apart as your mat. If you got issues with your back today, you can put your hands on blocks and support some of that weight of your torso. So you modify by putting your hands on blocks. Otherwise, fingers wrap around elbows, head hangs for everybody, and everybody sweeps from side to side. Let your hair sweep the floor. Let your pelvis roll across the top of your thigh bones. Feel your ribs spreading apart. If you're holding onto elbows, drag those elbows down towards the ground. If you're holding onto blocks, let your chest get longer. And feel your pelvis roll across the top of your thigh bones. Going for some good length in those side ribs. Some distance to open up between those armpits and hip bones. Maintain this swishing and swaying action as you put your hands down on the ground and step back into your downward facing dog. Swishing and swaying your hips side to side, pedaling your feet. Do down dog with hands on the floor. No blocks underneath your hands. You don't want to be unstable. Separate your feet as wide apart as your mat. So you have 1 foot on either side of your mat. And bend one knee, then the other, letting your hips jog side to side as you pedal your feet. Maybe pick up one heel, then the other. And rise up onto tippy toes, shift your body forward and put your knees down. Might want to put some padding underneath those knees as you join me down on hands and knees. Hands beneath shoulders, knees beneath hips, toes curled under for that added toe stretch. Inhale, head up, tail up. And exhale, arch your back for cat. Inhale for cow. And exhaling for cat. Work it out, back and forth through cat and cow. So again, if you're joining me now, emphasis is on the neck. I'll loosen up, stretched out. So feel free to get your head involved, nodding your head yes. Opening up your throat and then tucking your chin as much as you can. Next time you arch your back into that cat pose, leave your toes curled under and sit back over your heels. You can reach back, make sure those pinky toes are curled under as well. So all 10 little piggies are squealing. As you sit back over your heels, I'll demonstrate the I don't want to do what's coming up next variation. So this is always an option. If you don't like to do hare pose, you can do this one. Shoulders are back, chin tucks into your chest, sitting down over your heels, getting that added foot stretch. If you have your toes curled under, you can interlace your fingers, put them on the base of your skull, and tuck your chin into your chest. So this is the alternate variation of what's coming up next. Going for a nice neck stretch. If, however, you're cool with putting the top of your head down on the floor, then I invite you to do that. I'm going to untuck my toes though. At the top of my head on the floor, down between my knees, and roll on to the top of my head. If this works for you, I invite you to do the same. You're going to roll along the line of the mohawk. Chin tucked into your chest. You are in charge of how much pressure you put on the top of your head. You can use your hands to help control that. Keep your shoulders away from your ears so that you can breathe, talk, if you wanted to, in this position. Now, some people like to take their hands back by their ankles, either around their legs, or some people put their hands through the insides of their legs towards their feet. Me, I like to have my hands out to the sides for control. Whatever works for you, it works for me. This is hare pose, like a rabbit, H-A-R-E. Breathing into that space between your shoulder blades. Shoulders are away from your ears. And then hands on the floor. Everybody untucks their toes. Everybody brings big toes together, heels apart, knees apart. As you turn this into a traditional child's pose, you might stack your fists, 1 potato, 2 potato, or use the edge of the block underneath that third eye. Shifting a little bit more weight into your hips, doing the supported version of this child's pose. Big toes together, knees apart, hips back on your heels. Forehead on something. If your forehead goes to the floor, great, but do check to make sure your hips stay down over your heels. If you're putting your forehead on the floor and your butt is flying up into the air, you're not doing the pose. So you want to put something underneath your third eye, that spot between your eyebrows. Shift more weight into your hips so that your hips stay down over your heels and you feel a good spread between those shoulder blades. Now, again, you have the option of doing whatever you want with the arms. They can be out to your sides, out in front of you, or maybe palms up, back by your heels. And everybody breathes into that space between shoulder blades. Going for that feeling of spread between the shoulder blades. Hands come out to your sides, press on up and have a look. I'm going to clear the clutter out of the way so you can see a little bit more clearly. But you might still have that pillow underneath your knees. My hips are still back over my heels, big toes together, knees apart. Take an arm, this happens to be my left arm. I'm going to slide it through. I'm going to do my best to put that left shoulder blade on the ground. My hips are still back towards my heels. Now I can lift and lower those hips to roll onto that shoulder or shift off of that shoulder as much as I want. So that's what it looks like on one side. So come on down and join me. Pick a side, any side. Doesn't matter which arm you take. Take an arm, put it through, put that shoulder blade on the ground, and then roll forward and backward. So starting this thread the needle pose, with your hips back over your heels, and then shifting forward and backward, just get your neck a little bit more intensely. Slightly different angle than the usual variation on this pose. Notice I'm talking, which means you're breathing. My other hand, the one that's not underneath, I use it as a kickstand so I can shrug that top shoulder off my face and be able to breathe. Talk. And unwind. Use that kickstand hand to help push on up. And then, of course, switch sides. Spreading an arm through, shifting forward and backward as is comfortable. Don't forget to keep breathing into that space between your shoulder blades. And unwind, come on up. Again, you might still want to maintain that padding underneath your knees, and you might want to orient yourself, reorient yourself so you're looking at the screen. I'm going sideways just to demonstrate the long distance I'm going to put between my feet. And I'll quickly turn and face the screen in just a moment myself. So take that right foot forward, come into a nice long lunge. I got one foot at the front edge, one foot at the back edge of the mat. I've got a long stride between my feet. I also want you to see that my hands are directly beneath my shoulders. My big toe sticks out further than any other point of my body. Across the front edge of the mat, I have hand, heel. Here's the other hand in the line. So that's what it looks like from the side. I'm going to join you, mirror image you. So again, you still have that right foot forward. Nice long lunge. Get down low. Also from this, you can see that I have one foot at the front corner and the other foot at the other corner of the mat. I've got length and width between my feet. That width, distance side to side, is important. It helps maintain balance, and you're going to need it because from here, if you have your blocks handy, that helps. To put your hands on blocks and back yourself up, rock back on the front heel. Hands on blocks come back underneath your shoulder. Now waggle that front foot. Now waggle your hips. You can use those hands on blocks to help steer. This is why I like having more than one yoga mat. I am not constrained to the dimensions of just one yoga mat. I go all over the place. Get off the reservation here. Waggling side to side. Now turn that front foot out and resume the lunge. So maybe that front foot ends up off the side of your mat. It's turned out. Transfer your hands up onto your lap. Shrug your shoulders down, pull in your belly, and back up. Once again, you're down on one knee in what I call proposal pose. Pull in that tummy, drop your shoulders down away from your ears. This is your right hand, this is your right lap. Left arm goes in the air, pull that tummy in nice and tight, resume the lunge, and maybe your right elbow comes to your lap as you turn this over into a side stretch. If you're feeling really unstable, again, wiggle that front foot wider out to the side, maybe turn it out at an angle to help you balance. Big side stretch. Top palm is flat to the ground, lengthening out through that pinky finger, sweeping back through the thumb. Turn your chest open towards the sky. Maybe even push that elbow against your lap to help you turn open a little bit more. Tummy pulled in tight the entire time. If this is your left hand in the air, pull that left arm diagonal across as you rock back on that front heel. Now I kept my block handy so I can transfer that bottom hand to a block. Top hand comes diagonal across down the pinky toe side of the leg. Maybe you're holding onto the calf. Maybe you are holding onto the pinky toe side of the foot. Doesn't matter what you're holding onto. Be stable so that you can tuck your chin, drop your head, and breathe underneath that left shoulder blade. The whole point of this is that shoulder stretch. Let your head hang, breathe into that left shoulder blade. And you might be also getting that hamstring stretch, good stretch in that quadratus lumborum, your lower back. Breathing. Not done. Let that front knee bend, resume the lunge. Once again, hands on blocks. Back up. Make sure that tummy is pulled in tight. Same side, haven't switched yet. If that's your right leg in front, this is your left arm up. You're gonna be pulling in your front ribs, pulling in your belly. Pull that tummy in tight and take that left arm diagonal across to the outside of the knee. Stack your palms one on top of the other and rotate, twist. Still that bottom shoulder, your left shoulder blade's peeling away from your spine. Top shoulder wraps around your back, getting a nice deep twist. Elbow presses against knee, knee presses wide against your elbow. And release. Let's switch sides. Definitely recommend some padding underneath your knee. All that shifting forward and backward and grind that knee into the ground. Might not be the most comfortable thing. Basic lunge. You already saw this once from the side, so hopefully you kept that in mind. You have a long yoga mat and you're going to use up that length. In addition to that length, you're going to give yourself some width. Front foot sticks out further than any other point of your body. And again, across the front edge of your mat, you have hand, heel, hand, kind of all lined up. Basic lunge. Pressing into those blocks, backing your hip up. Down in proposal pose, pulling in your tummy, finding your balance, maybe turning that front foot out. Look at that waggle that we missed. So take that front foot, waggle it side to side, let your hips wiggle. All right, I knew something felt off. Give it a good waggle. Something else to notice while you're waggling here is what's going on at the top of your thighs, your inner thighs, pelvic floor. When you swing your hips one way, kind of everything hangs out. When you swing it the other way, kind of close up, inner thighs against one another. There's shy and not shy variations on this. Think about wearing a skirt, letting everything all hang out, or preserving your modesty. So think about turning your foot out, squeezing your inner thighs together, if that helps you balance a little bit better. Hands come up onto your lap, back up, pull in that tummy, still that closing up shop, wearing that skirt, being demure, pulling in that pelvic floor, right arm comes up, resuming that lunge. Big side stretch. Swinging your left butt cheek up against your right inner thigh will help stabilize this whole pose. Turning your chest open, big side stretch. And you'll notice as you turn your chest open how that left butt cheek wants to swing away. Now keep squeezing that left butt cheek in narrow up against your right inner thigh. And then rocking back on the front heel, have that block for stability, taking that top arm diagonal across. So I rock back on the heel, holding onto the pinky toe side of the leg, maybe the pinky toe side of the foot. Drop your head, tuck your chin. Breathe underneath that right shoulder blade. Easing on out of that, transferring both hands onto blocks, resuming that lunge. Right arm's going to come up and diagonal across. Elbow onto your lap, pushing top hand against bottom hand, twisting. And unwind. Again, this is where it's nice to have more than one yoga mat because I'm just going to pivot, walk both hands over to the right, and then find myself in a wide-legged forward fold. I invite you to do the same. Do make sure both feet are on the same surface. Both feet are on the same mat. Toes turn in, heels kick out. I'm going to keep my hips parked in the same plane as my heels. I'm trying not to shift my hips forward or backward. I'm trying to keep weight back in the heels. That's what it looks like from the side, coming into a forward fold here. Drop your head. If your head's on the floor, your feet are too far apart. You do want your spine to hang. Knees are unlocked, keeping your hips parked back over your heels. Release your hands, take your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers, squeeze your shoulder blades together. pull your shoulders away from your ears, let your head hang, and you can twist your head side to side. Like you're unscrewing a light bulb. Turn your head to look under your right shoulder and twist your torso to the left. So you get a little extra stretch in that right shoulder. Head is still hanging heavy. And then turn to look underneath that left shoulder. Twist your torso the other way. And come to center, hands to your hips. Hands come all the way down to the floor. Hands come underneath your shoulders. A little closer to the screen here. So maybe your hands are off the edge of your mat. Again, you're keeping your hips parked back over your heels, your knees unlocked, your toes turned in, heels kicking out. Left hand on the floor. Rotate, lift up through that right hand. Maybe come up onto fingertips. You're supporting yourself with using your tummy, not that bottom hand. The bottom hand's just there for balance. Take that top hand, palm faces the side of the room, rotate it so your palm faces your butt, like you're going to smack yourself on the butt, and then continue to rotate it so maybe the palm faces back behind you. And that's a little confusing. You're going to take the back of your hand around the small of your back and twist. Nice thing is you've got a waistband there. You might tuck your fingertips into that waistband and help crawl, turn your chest open a little bit more. Tummy pulled in, knees unlocked. Again, bottom hand weighs nothing. Big rotation. What do you do with your head? You put it on as an extension of your spine. And then unwind. Right hand replaces left. Second verse, same as the first. Sweep that left arm up and open. Rotating the hand, the entire arm, putting the back of your hand around the small of your back, so my palm is facing outward. Maybe tuck your fingertips into your waistband to crawl around a little bit further. Again, find your head, make sure it's not falling off. Twist. Bottom hand weighs nothing, knees unlocked, belly pulled in tight. And unwind. While you're in this forward fold, find your two blocks. And then you get to step your feet together. Do make sure you have both hands, both feet blocks on the same surface. I'm going to go sideways. You might face the screen for this one. Standing at the very front edge of your mat, hands on blocks underneath your shoulders. Take a giant step back with your right foot. Go long, big stride between your feet. Now, just like in that lunge, there's length and a little bit of width. So maybe you hop the back foot a little bit wider. Maybe you wiggle the front foot a little bit wider. Put some width between your feet. And just like that lunge, you have hand, foot, hand across the front edge of your mat. Toes, here's my toes, peeking out. You're going to work on pulling both legs straight. Now, maybe that back heel doesn't want to touch down. That's fine. If your heel doesn't want to touch down, that's fine. Swing it wide. So if that's your right foot behind you, swing that right heel to the right. You're going to pivot on the ball of the back foot. Swing that back heel wide. Pull in your tummy, tuck your tail, arch your back. Tuck your tail, tuck your chin, and try stapling that back heel straight down. You're really kind of cheating yourself out of the stretch if you let that back heel flop in. You want not only to stretch the front leg, but also that back calf. Pulling both legs as straight as you dare. Pyramid pose. Flat tabletop back. Soften, bend both knees, step forward, and switch sides. Giant step back. Length and width between your feet. Again, pick up that back heel, pivot on the ball of the back foot. Stretch that inner back heel straight back. To help get that back heel down, pull in your tummy, tuck your chin, arch your back like you would for cat pose. Keep on breathing. Back is nice and flat. Mike's been falling out of my ear all class. And then soften both knees, step forward. It's that moment you've all been waiting for. Can't believe you've gone this long without it. It's downward facing dog time. Fingers spread wide. Once again, feet are as wide apart as the mat. As you jog your hips from side to side, pedaling your feet. Feeling that lovely stretch down the backside of your legs, but also breathing into those back ribs, breathing underneath your shoulder blades. You did quite a bit to loosen up your neck and shoulders, so can you take those armpits and wrap them around towards your face? To help get that spread between your shoulder blades, put a slight bend in your elbows and wrap the outer rim of your armpits towards your face. Turn your fingers out, shove your thumbs towards one another, although they don't actually go anywhere, and engage those arm muscles. Turning on those chest muscles by keeping a slight bend in your elbows, swinging your elbows in narrow, shoving your thumbs towards one another. Rise up onto tippy toes. Keep your toes curled under, put your knees down on the floor. Back your hips up towards your heels. I'm going to turn this into a dolphin pose by putting your elbows down. I'm going to turn face the screen for this one. When I put my elbows down, I'm swinging my elbows in narrow. So I'm going to hitchhike my thumbs out to the side. Tuck those elbows in narrow, as close together as you can get them, and then interlace your fingers. Take that bottom pinky finger and tuck it in. So you got two pinky finger bones on the floor. Back your hips up, lift your hips up into your dolphin pose. So elbows are narrow. There is really no good place for your head, but if you have your elbows narrow enough, there is definitely no weight on your head. If you're doing a headstand, your elbows are too wide. You want to come down, reset, and repeat. Keep breathing. Bend your knees, lift your heels, flip your buns up towards the sun, and back that thing up. And breathe. Rise to tippy toes, bend your knees back down to the ground. Back your hips up to your heels. Separate your arms, spread your fingers nice and wide. Drop your head. Coming up into standard downward facing dog. It's going to feel real easy now after that dolphin dog. Rise up on the tippy toes, pull your tummy in, shift your body weight forward, take a giant step up with your right foot. Grab it, move it forward, get it on up there if you need to. Same thing we've been doing all along. Put some length and width between your feet. Maybe hop that back foot wider, maybe turn the front foot out at an angle. Take your hands behind you like a downhill skier. With an inhale, sweep on up. Crescent lunges with your back heel lifted. Warrior one is with your heel down. Same thing, really. With a crescent lunge, though, you can pivot on the ball of the back foot and swing. Square your hips forward to the front edge of your mat a little bit more. And get that added calf muscle stretch as you stretch your inner heel straight back. Turn your palms towards one another. Get on camera here. Turn your palms towards one another. Pull your thumbs back. Reach down. You can bring your palms together. Reach down into that scabbard between your shoulder blades and pull out that sword. Maybe joining your hands together in the one pose, interlacing your fingers all but that first finger. Trying to staple that back heel down to the floor. Turn this into a warrior one pose. And then release. You get to step forward, step back, and do the same thing on the other side. So start off a nice long lunge, good distance between your feet. Front knee is bent, shoulders shrug up onto your back. Taking arms up and overhead, rotating those armpits towards your face, breathing into that space between your shoulder blades, interlacing all but that first finger. Reaching down, finding that sword in the scabbard, pulling it out. For warrior one, trying to staple that back heel down to the ground without cheating yourself out of a calf stretch. And release. Once again, downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, once again, rise to tippy toes, shift your body weight forward, take a giant step up to the front edge of your mat. It doesn't matter which foot you pick. Pick a foot. Put it at the front edge of your mat. Give yourself some length and width. Maybe turn the front foot out. Hop the back foot wide. Arms behind you like a downhill skier. Pull your tummy in as you inhale, come all the way up. Bend your elbows. Turn your palms towards your head. Tip your elbows forward, pull your thumbs back. Pull in your front ribs. Stretch that back heel straight down. If you're feeling good about this, tuck your chin in. Pull your thumbs back. Go ahead and let your heart lift. Let your front ribs stick out. Shoot your arms straight back behind you. As you continue to lift your chin, tip your head back. Maybe put your head down through your arms and breathe. So back bending variation. And then come on up and step forward, step back, switch sides, go long. Front knee is bent. Length and width between your feet. Maybe turn that front foot out. Again, you're going to be lifting your gaze up. You're going to be turning this into a back bend. Make sure you have a good, strong base. Arms come behind you like a downhill skier. Inhale, sweep up. Coming into that crescent lunge, if you have the heel lifted. Warrior one if you have the heel down. Bending your elbows, goalpost arms. Turn your palms towards your head, elbows forward, thumbs back. Let your front ribs flare. Let your head fall backward, and then extend your arms. Throat is open, heart is open, big lunge, balance challenge, all in one. And then come on out. Downward facing dog. It's gonna feel so good after that. And then bend your knees down to the ground and have a seat. Legs go out in front. When you have a seat, you might consider sitting on 2 blocks in what I call butt cheek configuration. So 1 block for each butt cheek, just to lift your hips up to make it easier to tip your hips so that you can get out further into your forward fold. So some blocks, pillows, something underneath your hips. Have a seat. Legs go out in front. You can see my feet, nice and flexed, flat feet. And bend up your right knee. Take the right foot over. Get in there with your right hand, get your belly up and over. This is your right shoulder. Hit your ear and hitchhike, bring that right shoulder blade onto your back. Right breast is lifted. Right hand can come behind you onto the blocks or onto the floor, depending on how long your arm is. Left arm comes up. What's that left foot doing? That left foot is flexed flat. As you bring that left arm diagonal across, put the elbow to the outside or around the knee, sit up tall. So this left foot, the one I'm waggling at you, the foot is flexed flat and I'm trying to shorten the leg. I'm pulling that left leg into my pelvis, not using my hands, using those hip muscles, pulling that left leg into my pelvis to help stabilize the base here, so that when I turn my torso, I get a more like a chest twist than a pelvic offset thing. Now, wherever you are right now, soften your back ribs. Let your shoulders melt away from your ears. Softening those back ribs, letting your shoulders melt away from your ears. Maybe you can twist a little bit further. And unwind. Before we switch sides, take your hands to the outside of the knee. Pull in with your hands, push out with your knee. So if my hands were to slip, you would see that happen. I'm pulling in with my hands, pushing out with the knee hard. As I do this, I take the left leg and shorten it. Hard. Sit up nice and tall and breathe. And release. Let's do the other side. Legs go out in front. You can give them a waggle. And then bend up that left knee. Cross that left foot over. Locate the left shoulder, shrug it up onto your back. Taking your hand into your belly, pull that belly across your thigh. Left hand can be a kickstand on the floor or blocks, depending on what you got there. Right arm comes up. Right foot flex flat. Right arm comes diagonal across. Right leg gets shorter. Pulling that right leg into your pelvis. Elbow can be on the outside or it can go around the knee. Big twist. And again, wherever you are, breathe into your back ribs. Make them a little bit softer. Let your shoulders melt away from your ears. And unwind. Before you release completely, take your hands around the outside of that bent knee. Pull in hard with your hands, push out hard with the knee. So keep that right leg once again, shorten it. Try and open those hips a little bit more. Shoulders away from your ears, nice, long, elegant neck. And release. All right, you get to lie down on the floor. Put some pillow underneath your head. You're into that kind of thing. And we'll continue loosening up. So lying down on the floor, take your feet as wide apart as the mat. One foot on either side of the mat. Let those knees tick-tock side to side like windshield wipers. And then come to neutral. Heel toe wiggle your feet narrow. Go ahead, cross your right ankle over your lap. Make sure that right foot is flexed flat. Ankle bone, you can find that groove near the kneecap or go to the outside of the thigh. I'm going to push my ankle hard against my thigh and push my thigh hard against my ankle. It doesn't look like I'm doing anything, but I am pushing that ankle hard against my thigh, and then I'm taking this thigh and I'm pushing it hard against my ankle. And as I do that, that right knee swings away. Foot stays flexed flat the whole time. Again, work it. Push ankle against thigh, thigh against ankle, nice and hard. Keep working it. Your left foot is flat on the floor. You can rock from the inside edge to the outside edge of that left foot. Tick-tocking side to side. I need to hold on to my pillow because I tend to travel down my mat while I do this. All the while, tick-tocking side to side, I'm pushing ankle against thigh, thigh against ankle. And all sorts of fun stuff with my hips and lower back. Again, if that's your left foot flat down on the ground, next time you come to center, take that left foot and heel toe or toe heel it across the mat to the right. And maybe you can stack your shins one on top of the other. Still working it. Both feet flex flat, ankle pressing against thigh, thigh pressing against ankle. Hard. And release. Other side. Might take a moment to shake a leg or two. And then reset. Knees bent, feet flat. Left ankle crosses over right thigh. Right foot flat on the ground. Ankle presses against thigh, thigh presses against ankle. And that left knee turns out to the side. Just work it here, slowly letting that left thigh bone rotate in the hip joint, turning out as to its maximum. And then when it feels like it won't turn out anymore, pay attention to that flat foot on the floor and rock from the inside edge to the outside edge of that right foot. Pulling in your tummy, tucking in your front ribs, maybe holding onto that pillow. If you want even more intensity, the next time you come to center, you toe heel that bottom foot from right to left, and maybe try to stack your shin bones. Still pushing ankle against thigh, thigh against ankle, hard. And release. Take a nice stretch. Reach through fingers, reach through toes. Waggle your leg, wiggle your fingers. Take a great big stretch. Take 3 big breaths. Big inhale. Big exhale. 2 more. Great big inhale. Great big exhale. 3rd time, big inhale. And as you exhale, no angel your hands down by your hips, turning your palms up. And then melt into your Shavasana.